What's good, gamers? It's your boy, Stevie Blunder here, back again with another Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile. Actually less of a deck profile and more of a how to play guide. Yeah, I'm going to start trying to upload how to play series. I know I sort of did that with Gym Nights back in the day. And by back in the day, I mean like 2 months ago. But I'm going to try to teach you guys how to sort of like play these decks and try to explain the reasoning of like why you should maybe pick up these decks, be on the lookout, as well as these decks' strengths and weaknesses. So I'm going to try to break these up into 3 parts. The skeleton of the deck, like just like sort of a quick deck profile explaining what the cards do. A quick combo guide, like just sort of basic combos that you should be aware you should be doing. And finally, like a pros and cons of the deck and what I believe that the deck brings to the table in comparison to other decks and why you should or shouldn't be playing it. So let's get started with part 1, the deck profile. So obviously this is just a deck skeleton. This is by no means like concrete. I'm always changing up this deck in like minute ways, tournament to tournament, based on what I think I'm going to be seeing. But if you want like an overall guide, this is a pretty good place to start. First, 3 A-lister the Invoker. This is Mekk-Knight Invoked, by the way, of course. A-lister the Invoker. This is your only normal, real, impactful normal summon in the deck. It searches your invocation, which we run 3 of. I've seen some people run 2, but I like seeing 3. I want to see this card as much as possible, and always having access to your fusion spell in your fusion deck is usually pretty good. A-lister also has a hand effect where you can boost by 1,000, and boost a fusion monster's attack and defense by 1,000, and that honestly comes up a lot. Like, it's not as low impact as most people think. Invocation is not a hard once per turn fusion spell. You can either use it from your hand, send materials from your hand to the grave, or you could use materials from your graveyard or field if you're trying to summon an invoked monster. And you can also use your opponent's graveyard stuff. So taking care of monsters like Eldritch to summon like Makaba is really impactful. 3 Magical Meltdown. This is the field spell that searches your A-lister, and honestly, like beyond that, it's not terribly impactful, but it does provide some layer protection for your fusion spells, so that they can't really be interrupted or negated. And 1 terraforming, because as consistent as it seems, like having 10 ways to just having like 7 ways to find A-lister, it's not like amazingly consistent. Let's get those out of the way. On to the Mekk-Knight portion. We run 3 Purple Nightfall. This is the one with the best stats and the best effect. Blue Sky kind of sucks. 2 Blue Sky. The Searcher, but honestly, like on its own, it's not like incredible. It's really good in pure Mekk-Knight, but in a deck where we're only running like certain Mekk-Knights just for the names, it's not incredible, but you still run it just because it searches. 1 yellow star for the utility, 1 indigo to move stuff, and 1 red moon to pop stuff. I've seen some builds shave either like red moon or yellow star or even both, but I honestly find that the utility that these guys bring is honestly just really strong in certain scenarios, and it comes up, and these effects honestly come up a lot. Finally, we have World Legacy Key and World Legacy Secrets. World Legacy Secret. Monster Reborn, target banished, and add it back. Called the Haunted, actually. And yeah, honestly, these cards are... I've seen people cut these as well, but I just like them because they have really powerful effects once you are able to like establish like an Indigo engrave, or just like honestly a Mekk-Knight. Because if you have like Indigo and like Secret and Key, you can honestly just like move. You can be negating like 1 or 2 traps. You can bring back cards like Purple Nightfall like during the standby phase into areas where there are monsters, spells or traps. Yeah, honestly, just really high impactful and searchable. Hit traps. We run 3 Ash Blossom. We run 2 Nibiru. And we run 3 Infinite Impermanence. I decided on 8 because I wanted to run 9, but I didn't have the space, so it's more or less it. Infinite Impermanence can't be called by the Graved. Nibiru is Nibiru. And Ash Blossom hits everything in the game. I might try to take out the Infinite Impermanences for side frames, because they're a bit more high impact, as well as you can't really call by the grave those either, as well as they negate and destroy. and it also sets up what's it called? Invoke Light's Engrave if they do leave the field outside of their own effect for some reason. But it's whatever so far. 2 Game Seal. Really good for setting up columns. Really good against Sky Striker. I would honestly run Gadarla, the Wind Kaiju, because the attribute honestly does matter a bit when it comes to A, your invoke stuff, like if you run it over, and B, the more important thing is tributing over the barrier statue of the Storm Winds. Some people try and set up. It's never happened to me so far, but it's definitely something I am looking forward to make the slight change to. 1 Dino Wrestler Pankratops, still arguably the best going second card of the best going second monster of all time. It's incredible. 1 Mind Control. You can either run Mind Control or Instant Fusion. I wanted to have the additional space in my extra deck, as well as not have to commit 1,000 life points, as well as technically have it be negated through a a monster negate. And Mind Control, honestly, just if they're setting up a 4 material Apollo or Borreload Savage, you negate, you bait the Borreload Savage and you steal the Apollo, and you kind of just are free to go off. But this is just overall, in my opinion, the better card. 3 Cosmic Cyclone. These would be Lightning Storms if I had any, but I sold mine. Cosmic Cyclone, just really great utility for getting rid of those pesky Floodgates, Mystic Mines. Cosmic Cyclone, arguably one of the best cards in the game right now. And finally, 1 Rainbow Dragon, 1 Elemental Hero Neos, and 3 Neos Fusion. Neos Fusion is honestly going to be your win button in a lot of these games. Incredible card, summons an incredible monster for arguably free, and even though you can't special summon for the rest of the turn, summon just for the rest of the turn, or special. I haven't read the card, I don't read. It's honestly not even that bad. Because at that point, you'll usually just have won the game. You'll have either blown them out, or you'll have shuffled away their graveyard, and they have 1 card in hand, and they can't really realistically surmount any more real advantage after you do that. Or you could just OGK. OGK is always fun. I don't have secret rares. Please send them to me. Extra deck. 1 Salamangreat Almirage, 1 Secure Gardener. If you normal summon A-Lister, you can link A-Lister into Almirage because it's got 1,000 or less attack, and you can link Almirage into Secure Gardener. And this is a 4 summon setup to get to your Makaba if you're doing that. 1 Predaplant Bear Anaconda, a way to send Neos Fusion. It's really easy to make in this deck, and there are a lot of 2-card OTKs that you could just do. A-Lister Invoker Madness doesn't come up as much as it used to for OTKs or grabbing invocations, but it does serve its purposes, and grabbing invocations when you're trying to go for that last push, if you have multiple A-Listers in hand or grave. Invoked Mekk-Knight of the Morningstar might shave it down to 1 because it's not really making too much of a difference, but it's a way to search your it's a way to search your cards, your World Legacy key and secret, and I find that it's a really great card. At 1 maybe, but definitely deciding on shaving it down from 2. 1 Celine, incredible card for bladdering. You can summon back your A-Lister. You'll usually have 3 or more spells in grave / on field, cause Meltdown, Invocation, probably something from your opponent. And yeah, it allows you to ladder into access code. No more Boral Sword, no more. We have access code talk. This card is power crept everything. You can usually get 2 pops minimum with Celine and Almirage, but usually this card on its own is more than enough to just steal games. Onto the fusions. We run 3 Mekaba. This is the best one. It's the easiest to make, so that's why you run it at 3, and it's extremely powerful. Just having an Omni negate banish is so incredible. People say haha, what does Invoke do going first outside of Mekaba Pass? But Mekaba Pass, Imperm and an Ash Blossom is honestly sometimes all you really need. You run 1 Invoke Purgatrio. Comes up for OTKs, really easy to make with Almirage or Ash Blossom. Invoked Raijin. Like I said, comes up pretty easily with cards like Martial Metal Marcher, and the wind barrier statue. Like not the wind barrier statue, the Godarla that you summon off the wind, that you summon out the wind barrier statue. You can make Raijin. Doesn't come up incredibly often, but still a powerful card. Invoked Mekk-Knight. Honestly, one of the more powerful cards in the deck. I haven't seen a lot of builds run this card, but its effect is pretty strong. Like if your opponent tries to like summon like an Eldritch, but using like a Scarlet, this just pops it. Your opponent tries to special summon, this just pops it. It summons, it just pops it. Like honestly, just having the utility pop in the extra deck, have it be like so easily accessible is really nice. Wish it had more attack. And finally, the one Rainbow Neos, the Win Con. Side deck, of course, always malleable. Cater it towards your locals. One Nibiru, because we want the third one against that combo. Triple Artifact Lancia, Orcust, and weird decks that like to banish, like Dinosaurs and I think Generator? I'm not sure. Probably not Generator. Triple Dark Roller no more. Sometimes you get put against Emancipator, and you need this card to win your games. Triple Solemn Judgment. If I feel like if I feel like they're gonna make me go first, I side this in, and this card honestly just still incredibly powerful. Why is it at 3? Triple Evenly Matched. HP 9 Altergeist Spieler. Very good card against it. And finally, one Red Reboot, because I really hate Altergeist. This is sort of like your win button against Altergeist, and you can OTK Altergeist extremely easily. Like, it's not even a joke. But, of course, it's a one of. This shouldn't, in my opinion, this should be banned along with Artifact Scythe, Shadal Winda, and Solemn Judgment. And World XC Whispers, really shit activation condition. But it's got a very powerful effect of being the spell locker. And honestly, it comes up. It's pretty good. Is it like great? And I would say that's like optimal? Not really. But I find it in my local scene, it has its purposes. Alright, and that's it for the deck profile portion of the video. Right. So I'm going to be trying to go over some of the basic combos and like maybe some of the advanced combos that are coming to mind. But honestly, this deck doesn't really have too much for combos because it's very, very freeform. So we're going to go for the standard A-lister, one card Macabre play. So we're going to normal summon A-lister. Let's go search out our invocation. Going to link that away to our Salamangreat Almirage. Hopefully these zones look right to you guys. Yep. I'm going to link the Almirage away to a Secure Garna. Now we're going to invocation the A-lister and our Secure Garna into the Invoked Mekk-Knight and the invocation engrave. I'm going to shuffle that back in order to add A-lister back in hand for the follow-up or for a Macabre negate. And yeah, that's the first one. That's the first combo. Another combo that we've got is A-lister plus any Mekk-Knight, I did that in the wrong order, is actually an OTK. So let's get that started. I'm going to normal summon A-lister. That's going to search us out our invocation. We're going to link that away into our Almirage. Then we're going to set our invocation. We're going to summon our Mekk-Knight. Mekk-Knight is just for the name, of course. I'm going to link those two away into Predaplan, Verte, Anaconda. You can kind of see where this is going. Now we're going to invocation. We're going to use our Mekk-Knight and A-lister for Macabre. Invocation is going to add back our A-lister. This is very important. And Predaplan, Verte, Anaconda is going to send our Neos fusion in order to send our Rainbow Dragon and Elemental Hero Neos to the graveyard in order to special summon out our Rainbow Neos. Now, if your opponent has like monsters on board, what we can do is we can Rainbow Neos, send the Verte Anaconda to shuffle away all their monsters, and we'll have 7,000 exact damage, and we can A-lister boost for the last 8,000, which honestly comes up a lot. Like, you have no idea how often this combo is live. It's an incredibly powerful combo, and this honestly just is like a game stealer in like very simplified game states, or like if your opponent like sets a monster passes. Very powerful. Very, very powerful. Finally, let's do, well, not finally, hopefully. We're going to do a combo, which is a 2.5 card VFD. We're going to have A-lister, any free discard, and any Mekk-Knight. So, let's get this started. We're going to normal summon our A-lister. That's going to special summon out, well, not special summon, it's going to add our invocation. Then we're going to link you into our Almirage. We're going to set our invocation. We're going to special summon our Mekk-Knight Blue Sky. We're going to link these two off into our A-lister, Invoker of Madness. Now we're going to invocation here. We're going to use the A-lister and Blue Sky in order to go into our Mekk-Knight. The A-lister is going to trigger. We're going to discard our Rainbow Dragon in order to search a second invocation. Just give it 2 seconds. There we go. And here's where the spice comes out. We're going to link away this A-lister into Link Cross. Now, yeah, we're going to summon out our Link Cross. We're just going to use 2 tokens. We're going to use 1 and this, yeah, this card, 2. Now, what we can do is we can invocation using the A-lister, the Link Cross, or the tokens, doesn't really matter, to go into Mekk-Knight number 2. And finally, we can overlay those two into a true king of all calamities. Is it a bit investment heavy? Yes. Is it powerful? I mean, true king of all calamities kind of wins you the game. Invocation will add back our A-lister. And yeah, we'll have A-lister for a follow-up. We'll have 2 tokens that we can make our last Mekk-Knight with going into the next turn. And yeah, we can even have the detached Mekk-Knight for something like Organoids. And this is a very powerful combo. Shout out to Lund for telling me it. Alright, let's talk about the pros and cons about this deck. One, it's honestly very easy. This deck is very low impact on your brain. You don't have to memorize like 50 combo paths like with Adamantipator. I mean, that deck isn't too hard to play either, but that's just me. And honestly, this deck is very simple in the sense of like it has a very extremely linear game plan of just like going first, you like set up Mekk-Knight or True King of All Calamities and hope that's enough. And going second, just summon a bunch of Mekk-Knights and OTK. Get a bunch of searches, out-resource your opponent, Mekk-Knight beatdown. Yeah, it's very simple in that sense. Pro number 2, it's really like the linear game plan that it has is honestly pretty powerful. Yeah, like I said earlier, like it may not seem like Mekk-Knight like banish 1, like 1 negate is like very powerful, but when that's backed up with like hand traps and like like a purple Nightfall's coming back on the next turn, it really puts a lot of pressure on your opponent to like OTK you in that instant, or like set up like 50 negates after like clearing your board. Otherwise, they're going to be in for a very grindy matchup, and most decks can't really play through that. And 3, Rainbow Neos is just amazing. Like, this card is just incredible. Going back to it, let's talk about the cons. So, unfortunately, this deck is pretty susceptible to interruption, and the form of A-lister is your only normal summon. Like, sure, you can normal summon, like, a hand trap and set up a column for a Mekk-Knight, like, going first, but you really need to find a way to get your invocation. And honestly, if you can't get a way to multiple A-listers, like if you get negated on the first one, do like Terraforming or Meltdown or just drawing them, you're honestly in for, like, a really tight spot. It doesn't happen often, but if you do get, I mean, it doesn't happen often, which you don't have a second way to get to A-lister or an invocation. But if you do, then you're in a very tight, precarious spot. Second, honestly, this deck has a very poor Adamantipator and Synchro Eldritch matchup. Like, sure, you can Nibiru them during like when they're doing their Hulk Link Cross combos. And you can honestly just like maybe like shuffle some stuff back with like Rainbow Neos, but honestly, unless that Rainbow Neos is like really winning you the game by like shuffling back like all their Eldritch spells and traps, and you've broken their Synchro board, and you set it like a Macabre negate, or like you completely cut off Adamantipator's access to like block Dragon by like shuffling back with Macabre or banishing it, or maybe like setting up like 2 Macabres or a VFD, like you're like it's virtually impossible to win against those decks going second if you don't open like very specific hands. And 3, it's kind of expensive. Like I think I dropped like shout out to Team Playmakers for getting me the hookup on this deck, but it's really expensive. Like this deck is like really expensive. I think I'm gonna like it's incredible. Like this, that's like already like $15. Like Ash Blossom's like $30 a playset, like $20 to $30 a playset. Like Invocation is like $120 a playset. Like the Mekk-Knight package is like $150 for the engine for just like Blue Sky and like Nightfall and the one mech link. Like A-lister's like pretty cheap actually. Yeah, Invocations are crazy expensive. Like Nibiru's, Neos Fusions, not Neos Fusion, like Rainbow Neos, like Rainbow Dragon is weirdly expensive. Yeah, but definitely this is like if you're looking to like stomp every other rogue deck that isn't like Adamantipator or Eldritch, in which this deck has like a less than favorable matchup against, but it's still very doable, then yeah, I would definitely recommend picking up Mekk-Knight Invoked. It's one of my most favorite decks of all time. Like honestly, I don't have to think when I play this deck. I just normal summon A-lister, I do my combo, maybe summon a VFD, and that's all I really need in life. Thank you guys so much for watching. I got inspired to make this video by someone someone kept asking me, it's like, how do you play this deck? And I'm like, yo, I'm gonna just make a video about this so you have no excuse on how to not play this deck. Yeah, remember kids, note the level, remember your columns, and yeah, take it easy.